what a Pro Tools session looks like. Up here at the top, you have all your metering, meaning it's just like basically showing you how many bars and beats are in the song, how many seconds are in the song, how many samples are in the song, the tempo, the, you know, if it's a 4/4 or a 3/4 as far as like time signature. But yeah, so that's what's at the top. On the left is going to be your groups right here. So like if I create a group, what that just means is I select a whole bunch of tracks and I put them in a group and I name the group, and that group would go on the left. It would pop up right there. Okay. And let me see if I can move this over here. Okay. Actually, that's better at the top. Okay. So on the right is your clips. Basically anything that you record at all or import into Pro Tools ends up in the clips window. So this is where all your audio will end up, just in general. So, and then you can also like select audio that's not being, like after you record a lot, you can select the audio that's not being used and you can clean up your session, but I'll show you guys that later. This is the transport window. So what this is just literally your control for the Pro Tools timeline. So you can push play, you can stop it, you can record with the red button. Okay. There's a couple different types of recording. There's normal recording, which is literally as it says, just regular recording. You click it and you have to you have to literally start it right from the top from the timeline. So I'll show you what I mean. Hold on. So new, right? Cool. So you would literally, you're only allowed to start recording from where the timeline selection is, meaning wherever your cursor is. So click record. Hold on. Record. Oh, it's actually going to record me. Let me put it on a different track. All right. I didn't want to record myself. Okay. So that's regular recording, just so you see how it looks. Okay. Boom. That's one way of recording. Other way is loop recording. Now, this is a great way for you guys to be creative, right? What you can do is pick a beat out, select, let's say you want to work on the hook. Let's say the hook is from here to here, like 8 bars. And you guys can look at the top where the bars and beats are to like get a gauge of how many bars there are in your section, which will help you with arrangement and being creative and understanding just song structure. But this selection right here is called loop record. And what it does is literally record. And then when it gets to the end of the selection, it just automatically loops back. And while it's doing that, it's playlisting all your recordings, which is super dope. So basically what you can do is just put it on loop, come up with mad different hook ideas, mad different verse concepts. You can top line, you can do all sorts of stuff on the fly, on the spot, and it's being saved. So you can go back and dip into any ideas you have, which is super dope. So this is a great process for all of my songwriters, all of my artists out there, just to get creative with stuff. You know, you see how it just looped back? And then what happens is when you stop, it just throws all the recordings down to the playlist. So it's probably not going to be that many because I've only done it twice. I'm going to wait for it to loop one more time so I can show you guys what it looks like when it's when I stop it. So it would be cool. So once you stop it, oh, all right. So it didn't go down. It didn't go down in the playlist because I didn't record any. There's no audio on these tracks. But if there was audio, if I was actually recording, because it's not getting any signal, so it thinks that there's nothing on there. If I was, it would automatically go down to this playlist. You see these playlists? So these are playlists. They just pop up like this. So what it would look like is you would just see a whole bunch of recordings like that. And also that is something in your setup as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the preferences. So yeah, you can select what happens to the audio after via the preferences. But yeah, So that's loop recording. Then after that, hold on, where's the, this is getting a little bit in the way. Oh, okay. What? Okay. So then another one is destructive. Destructive is like, I never use it. Destructive literally just, if you record over top of anything, it just completely deletes it, just in general, like out the whole system, which I've never used. I typically use Quick Punch. So Quick Punch is the main method that engineers use. And that just means you can periodically punch in and out of recording on the fly whenever you want. So I'll show you. It's just playing, record. Oh, sorry. So it's just playing, record, unrecord, record, unrecord, record, unrecord. Oh, you got an idea? Record, unrecord, record, unrecord, record, unrecord. But you get the point. So that's Quick Punch. And that's typically how engineers record. And then that's just so that we can on the fly punch people in and out of different bars and verses. So those are like the main ways of recording. And then you also have the loop playback. And that's just so, like, say if you're writing something, you can just literally put it on loop. You got to take it off a Quick Punch, though. It doesn't work when you do Quick Punch, but you can put, so you go to right click, loop, and that's just loop playback. So it's just going to continually loop the playback, like literally. So just loop the playback. But what you can do is instead of doing loop recording, you can loop the playback. I'm giving y'all all the game right now, by the way. So you can loop the playback and you can put on, you can put input on, input monitoring. And what that does is it allows you to hear yourself. So the only way you can hear yourself is one, by recording, or two, by putting on the input monitor. And that just allows you to hear whatever's going through the input. So this is another way to come up with cadences or ideas without having to record it. So what you can do is just put the loop back play on, just like dit, and you can just come up with your ideas, come up with your concepts, try some things out, see how the auto-tune sounds, etc. Have fun, test it out. Okay. So those are like the basic, and I'm going to keep things very basic just so that you guys can like get around and get your ideas off. I don't want to get too complex. Because the last thing I want is for it to become such a big thing for you that you don't do it at all and you don't use Pro Tools. So basic concept is, how do you move this? Can I move this? Like, is there a way? Because I kind of need to show. Okay, never mind. Okay, so last but not least, this is like the different tools you can use for your mouse. So this is selection. This is a grabber. So this, like, if there was a clip right here, I could grab it. But look, I'm just going to simplify everything. Use the smart tool. What that is you just click this top thing and it clicks all those three things. So what that does is it allows your mouse to be three different tools in one. All right. So now I can drag out the audio, right? You see, that's the tool on the left. I can drag it out. I can move it, the grabber on the right, and I can also click and select. Okay. So just click the smart tool. Don't overcomplicate yourself. Use the smart tool. It'll allow you to move your clips around, drag them out if you want to, or do a selection and like take something out, like delete something or whatever. Super simple. All right. This is how you select stuff. You click it. All right. Yeah. And I don't want to get overly into all this because this is just going to get more and more confusing. But just know that this button right here, this links the timeline and edit selection. Okay. That's the most non-confusing way to use Pro Tools, in my opinion, because basically everything's in line with one another. If you use a different one, it basically means that it's just confusing. So basically what that means is wherever I select, it stays there and it doesn't correlate to what I select, if that makes sense. So the cursor where it's going to play back from doesn't move according to your selection, if that makes sense. So it basically separates the two, which I don't really like. So I personally would select to link the timeline and selection together. So what that means is, see, wherever I select, the cursor where it's going to play back from is going to go, you know? So if I select right here, but it does make sense. Like if you are a mixer and you're recording someone, like I could literally have them play back from here, but and then I could do my edits, like boom, boom, delete that, delete that, delete that, and it won't move the cursor, which is pretty cool. But for you guys, I would just, there's no reason to use that, in my opinion. You might as well just link everything together because you're just recording yourself. So you're not going to be doing edits while you're tracking for real, for real. Well, you shouldn't be, at least. Cool. So that's that. How you create more tracks is going to track. You're going to use mono because a vocal is in mono, meaning that it's one input versus two inputs. You're one vocal, you're singular. It's one mic, it's not two mics. So it's a mono single. Audio track would be what you select. Okay. Let's just say 5 of them. All right. Now you have 5 tracks. All right. So what you would do is you would name each track accordingly to what you want to use them for. Like, let's say this is where the beat is. Let's say this is where the hook is. Okay, sorry. So this is where the hook is. This is where the verse is. This is where the ad libs are, or whatever workflow works best for you. I'm just giving you the tools and the knowledge. You guys have to figure out your workflow. That's kind of the point. Yeah, so name each track according to what you want to use them for. Color code them, please, for the love of God. Color code them, okay? And as you can see, the tracks go up here too, as you can see. You see how as I click them, they move on the left-hand side? But basically what you can do is just name every, so this could be your verse. This could be your verse 2. This could be your fun track where you just like do weird ad libs, you know? So yeah, you just double click to rename things and then just type in what you want, hit enter, and it will rename it. Okay. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Pretty pretty easy to understand. The only other thing I really want to describe, I'm trying to keep this very like make you want to use Pro Tools rather than make it a headache. So the last thing I will say is grid just means that it is basically your selections will have to go off the tempo of the track. And then you can control the amount, like how either small or big the grid is via here. This button right here, see, it says grid. Just go to grid. You can select like 4th note or whatever. And you can, like, let's say you want to beat, that would make your selections bigger. You see what I'm saying? See how it's just doing beat selections? Like it doesn't let you go in between the grid is what I'm saying. So if you want to select something very specific, you go to slip. That's all I was going to show. So grid or slip. Spot, shuffle, I'm not going to walk through those because it's unnecessary right now. Okay, cool. So let's see what else we got. Cool. So I'm going to show you a template now. I just wanted to show you what Pro Tools looks like when you just like open it on the fly and start creating your own thing. But now I'm going to show you what a template looks like. Let me see. Whose template do I want to show?